I'm not normally a poetry kind of guy. I tend to think of myself more of a country boy type of a thing, mountains and things. I dig that. So poetry isn't really my thing. However, when I was traveling and camping around up in Alaska many years ago now, I came across this book, The Best of Robert Service. Who he was a poet that basically wrote about the Yukon Gold Rush, and it's a lot of gritty, kind of hard type stuff. So I'm going to be reading to you from The Best of Robert Service. La Envoy, 1907. You who have lived in the land, who have trusted the trail, who are strong to withstand, who are swift to assail. Songs have I sung to beguile, vintage of desperate years, hard as a harlot's smile, bitter as unshed tears. Little of joy or mirth, little of ease I sing, sagas of men of earth, humanly suffering. Such as you all have done, savagely faring forth, sons of the midnight sun, Argonauts of the north. Far in the land God forgot, glimmering the lure of your trail. Still, in your lust you are taught, even to win is to fail. Still, must you follow and fight under the vampire wing, there in the long, long night, hoping and vanquishing. Husbandsmen of the wild, reaping a barren gain, scourged by desire, recoiled and unto disaster and pain. These my songs are for you, you who are seared with the brand. God knows I have tried to be true. Please God, you will understand. Next poem. To the Man of the High North. My rhymes are rough and often in my rhyming I have drifted silver-sailed on seas of dream, hearing afar the bells of Elfland chiming, seeing the groves of Arcady agleam. I was the thrall of beauty that rejoices, from peak snow diamond to regal star, yet to mine airy ever pierced the voices, the pregnant voices of things that are. The here, the now, the vast forlorn around us, the gold delirium, the ferine strife, the lusts allure us on, the hates that hound us, our red rags in the patchwork quilt of life. The nameless men who nameless rivers travel, and in strange valleys greet strange deaths alone, the grim, intrepid one who would unravel the mysteries that shroud the polar zone. These I will sing, and if one of you linger over my pages in the long, long night, and on some lone line lay a calloused finger, saying, "It's human, true. It hits me right." Then will I count this loving toil well spent. Then will I dream a while, content. The men that don't fit in. It's a little more famous one. There's a race of men that don't fit in, a race that can't stay still. So they break the hearts of kith and kin, and they roam the world at will. They ranged the field and they roved the flood, and they climbed the mountain's crest. Theirs is the curse of the gypsy blood, and they that don't know how to rest. If they just went straight, they might go far. They are strong and brave and true, but they're always tired of the things that are, and they want the strange and new. They say, "Could I find my poor grove? With a deep mark I will make." So they chop and change, and each fresh move is only a fresh mistake. And each forgets as he strips and runs with a brilliant, fitful pace. It's the steady, quiet, plodding ones who win the lifelong race. And each forgets that his youth has fled, forgets that his prime is past, till he stands one day with a hope that's dead in the glare of the truth at last. He has failed. He has failed. He has missed his chance. He has just done things by half. Life's been a jolly good joke on him, and now it's time to laugh. Ha ha! He is one of the legion lost. He was never meant to win. He's a rolling stone. It's bred in the bone. He's a man who won't fit in. I like that because I kind of have that don't fit in type of thing. Then it also has some cool pictures of various, prospectors up in the Yukon territory during the gold rush times. I'm not going to take the time on those, but I will show them because why not? Big old slough. The Rime of the Restless Ones. It's a bit longer. We couldn't sit and study for the law, the stagnation of a bank we couldn't stand, for our riot blood was surging and we didn't need much urging to excitements and excesses that are banned. So we took to wine and drink and other things, and the devil in us struggled to be free, till our friends rose up in wrath and they pointed out the path, and they paid our debts and packed us over the sea. Oh, they shook us off and shipped us o'er the foam to the larger lands that lure a man to roam. And we took the chance they gave of a far and foreign grave, and we bade goodbye forevermore to home. And some of us are climbing on the peak, and some of us are camping in the plain. By pine and palm you'll find us, with never claim to bind us. By track and trail you'll meet us once again. We are fated serfs to freedom, sky and sea. We are failed where slummy cities overflow, but the stronger ways of earth know our pride and know our worth, and we go into the dark as fighters go. Yes, we go into the night as brave men go, though our faces they be often streaked with woe. Yet we're hard as cats to kill, and our hearts are reckless still, and we've danced with death a dozen times or so. And you'll find us in Alaska after gold, and you'll find us herded cattle in the south. We like strong drink and fun, and when the races run, we often die with curses in our mouth. We are wild as colts, unbroke but never mean. Our sins we've shouldered broad to bear the blame, but we'll never stay in town, and we'll never settle down, and we'll never have an object or a name. There's that in us that time can never tame, and life will always seem a careless game, and they'd better far forget those who say they've lost us yet. Forget, blot out our bitterness, our name. Let's see here. Next one, the younger son. If you leave the gloom of London and you seek a glowing land, with all except a flag is strange and new, there's a bronzed and stalwart fellow who will grip you by the hand and greet you with a welcome and warm and true. For he's your younger brother, the one you sent away because there wasn't room for him at home, and now he's quite contented, and he's glad he didn't stay, and he's building Britain's greatest o'er the foam. When the giant herd is moving at the rising of the sun, and the prairie is lit with rose and gold, and the camp is all a bustle, and the busy day's begun, he leaps into the saddle sure and bold, though the round of heat and hurry, through the racket and the rout, he rattles at a pace that nothing mars, and when the night winds whisper and campfires flicker, he is sleeping like a child beneath the stars. When the wattle blooms are drooping in the somber shed oak glade, and the breathless land is lying in a swoon, he leaves his work a moment, leaning lightly on his spade, and he hears the bellbird chime the austral noon. The parakeets are silent in the gum tree by the creek. The ferny grove is sunshine steeped and still, but the dew will gum the myrtle, and the twilight eke he seek his little lonely cabin on the hill. Around the purple vine-clad slope, the argent river dreams. The roses almost hide the house from view, a snow peak of the Winterberg, in crimson splendor gleams. The shadow deepens down on the karoo. He seeks the lily-scented dusk. Beneath the orange tree, his pipe in silence glows and fades and glows. And then two little maids come out and climb upon his knee, and one is like the lily, one is the rose. He sees his white sheep dapple o'er the green New Zealand plain, and where Vancouver's shaggy ramparts frown, when the sunlight threads the pine gloom, he is fighting might and main to clinch the rivets of an empire down. You will find him toiling in the south or in the west, a child of nature, fearless, frank, and free. And the warmest heart that beats for you is beating in his breast, and he sends you loyal greeting o'er the sea. You've the brother in the army, you've another in the church. One of you is a diplomatic swell. You've had the pick of everything and left him in the lurch, and yet I think he's doing very well. I'm sure his life is happy, and he doesn't envy yours. I know he loves the land his pluck has won, and I fancy, in the years unborn, while England's fame endures, she will come to bless with pride the younger son. Didn't like that one as much, just because it's a little bit heavier, but it's pretty cool. In other words, work hard, be proud of what you got. He doesn't envy you, don't envy him. I'm going to skip through a few of these. I'm going to go to The Call of the Wild, because I know people have been reading that book this year, even though this has not really anything to do with that book. Have you gazed on naked grandeur where there's nothing else to gaze on? Set pieces and drop curtain scenes galore. Big mountains heaved to heaven, which the blinding sunsets blazon. Black canyons where the rapids rip and roar. Have you swept the visioned valley with the green stream streaking through it? Searched the vastness for something you have lost? Have you strung your soul to silence? Then for God's sake, go and do it. Hear the challenge, learn the lesson, pay the cost. Have you wandered in the wilderness, the sagebrush desolation, the bunchgrass levels where the cattle graze? Have you whistled bits of ragtime at the end of all creation and learned to know the desert's little ways? Have you camped upon the foothills? Have you galloped o'er the ranges? Have you roamed the arid sunlands through and through? Have you chummed up with the mesa? Do you know its moods and changes? Then listen to the wild. It's calling you. Have you known the great white silence? Not a snow-gemmed twig a quiver? Eternal truths that shame our soothing lies. Have you broken trail on snowshoes? Mushed your huskies up the river? Dared the unknown, led the way, and clutched the prize? Have you marked the map's void spaces, mingled with the mongrel races, felt the savage strength of brute in every thew? And though grim as hell the worst is, can you round it off with curses? Then hearken to the wild, it's wanting you. Have you suffered, starved, and triumphed, groveled down, yet grasped at glory, grown bigger in the bigness of the whole, done things just for the doing? Let babblers tell the story, seeing through the nice veneer the naked soul. Have you seen God in his splendor, heard the text that nature renders? You'll never hear it in the family pew. The simple things, the true things, the silent men who do things. Then listen to the wild, it's calling you. They have cradled you in custom, they have primed you with their preaching. They have soaked you in convention through and through. They have put you on in a showcase. You're a credit to their teaching. But can they hear the wild? It's calling you. Let us probe the silent places. Let us seek with luck what luck betides us. Let us journey to a lonely land I know. There's a whisper on the night wind, and there's a star agleam to guide us, and the wild is calling, calling. Let us go. I like that one. Go out and adventure. Seek your fortune. I'm going to skip the Song of the Mouth Organ. It's a longer one. It's nothing. The Trail of the 98. One of his more famous ones as well. So we'll go to that. Gold! We leapt from our benches. Gold! We sprang from our stools. Gold! We wheeled in the furrow, fired with the faith of fools. Fearless, unfound, unfitted, far from the night and the cold. Here we the clarion summons, follow the master lure, gold. Men from the sands of the sunland, men from the woods of the west, men from the farms and the cities, into the northland we pressed. Graybeards and striplings and women, good men and bad men and bold, leaving our homes and our loved ones, crying exultantly, gold! Never was seen such an army, pitiful, futile, unfit. Never was seen such a spirit, manifold courage and grit. Never has been such a cohort under a banner unrolled, as surged to the ragged-edged Arctic, urged by the arch-temper, gold. Farewell, we cried to the dearests, little we cared for their tears. Farewell, we cried to the humdrum and the yoke of the hireling years. Just like a pack of schoolboys, and the big crowd cheered us goodbye. Never were hearts so uplifted, never were hopes so high. The spectral shores flitted past us, and every whirl of the screw hurled us nearer to fortune, and ever we planned what we'd do. Do with the gold when we got it, big shiny nuggets like plums. There in the sand of the river, gouging it out with our thumbs. And one man wanted a castle, another a racing stud. A third would cruise in a palace yacht like a red-necked prince of blood. And so we dreamed and we vaunted, millionaires to a man, leaping with wealth in our visions long ere the trail began. We landed in wind-swept Skagway. We joined the weltering mass, clamoring over their outfits, waiting to climb the pass. We tightened our girths and our pack straps. We linked on the human chain, struggling up to the summit where every step was a pain. Gone was the joy of our faces, grim and haggard and pale. The heedless mirth of the shipboard was changed to the care of the trail. We flung ourselves in the struggle, packing our grub in relays, step by step to the summit in the bale of the winter days. Floundering deep in the sump holes, stumbling out again, crying with cold and weakness, crazy with fear and pain. Then from the depths of our travail, ere our spirits were broke, grim and tenacious and savage, the lust of the trail awoke. For grub meant gold to our thinking, and all that could walk must pack. The sheep for the shambles stumbled, with each a load on its back. And even the swine were burdened, and grunted and squealed and rolled, and men went mad in the moment, huskily clamoring, gold. Klondike or bust rang the slogan, every man for his own. Oh, how we flogged the horses, staggering skin and bone. Oh, how we cursed their weakness, anguish they could not tell, breaking their hearts in our passion, lashing them on till they fell. Oh, we were brutes and devils, goaded by lust and fear. Our eyes were strained to the summit, the weaklings dropped to the rear. Falling in heads by the trailside, heartbroken, limp, and vain. But the gaps closed up in an instant, and heedless the chain went on. Never will I forget it, there on the mountain face, ant-like men with their burdens clinging in icy space. Dogged, determined and dauntless, cruel and callous and cold, cursing, blasphemous, reviling, and ever the battle cry, "Gold!" Thus toiled we, the army of fortune, in hunger and hope and despair, till glacier, mountain, and forest vanished and radiantly fair. There at our feet lay Lake Bennett, and down to its welcome we ran. The trail of the land was over, the trail of the water began. We built our boats and we launched them. Never has been such a fleet. A packing case for a bottom, a Mackinaw for a sheet. Shapeless, grotesque, lopsided, flimsy, makeshift, and crude, each man after his fashion built as best he could. Each man worked like a demon, as prow to rudder we raced. The winds of the wild cried, "Hurry!" The voice of the waters cried, "Haste!" We hated those driving before us. We dreaded those pressing behind. We cursed the slow current that bore us. We prayed to the God of the wind. Spring, and the hillsides flourished, vivid in jeweled green. Spring, and our hearts' blood nourished, envy and hatred, spleen. Little cared we for the spring birth, much cared we to get on. Stake in the great white channel, stake ere the best be gone. The greed of the gold possessed us, pity and love we were forgot, covetous visions obsessed us, brother with brother fought. Partner with partner wrangled, each one claiming his due, wrangled and halved their outfits, sawing their boats in two. Thus wise we voyaged Lake Bennett, taggish with windy arm, sinister, savage, and baleful, bonding us hate and harm. Many a scow was shattered there on that iron shore, many a heart was broken, straining to sweep an oar. We roused Lake Marsh with a chorus, we drifted many a mile. There was the canyon before us, cave-like its dark defile. The shore swept faster and faster, the river narrowed to wrath, waters that hissed disaster reared upright in our path. Beneath us the green tumult churning, above us the cavernous gloom, around us swift twisting and turning, the black sullen walls of a tomb. We spun like a chip in a mill race, our hearts hammered us under the test. Then, oh, the relief of each chill face, we soared into sunlight and rest. Hand sought for hand on the instant, cried we, our troubles are over. Then, like a rumble of thunder, we heard a canorous roar. Leaping and boiling and seething, we saw a cauldron of flume. There was the rage of the rapids. There was the menace of doom. The river springs like a racer, sweeps through a gash in the rock, butts at the shoulder-ribbed bottom, staggers and rears at the shock, leaps like a terrified monster, writhes in its fury and pain, then with the crash of a demon springs to the onset again. Dared we that ravaging terror? Heard we its din in our ears? Called on the gods of our fathers, juggled forlorn with our fears, sank to our waists in its fury, tossed to the sky like fleece. Then, when our dread was the greatest, crashed into safety and peace. But what the others that But what of the others that followed, losing their boats by the score? Well, could we see them and hear them, strung down that desolate shore? What of the poor souls that perished? Little of them shall be said. On to the golden valley, pause not to bury the dead. Then there were the days of drifting, breezes soft as a sigh. Night trailed her robe of jewels over the floor of the sky. The moonlight stream of a python, silver, sinuous, vast, that writhed on the shroud of velvet. Well, it was done at last. There were the tents of Dawson, there the scar of the slide. Swiftly we pulled o'er the shallows, swiftly leapt o'er the side. Fires fringed the mouth of Bonanza, sunset glided the dome. The test of the trail was over. Thank God, we're home. The trail for the Yukon Gold Rush was incredibly insane. Most people didn't make it. Many people died. Many people just turned back. And that poem's basically a pretty good telling of it. I'm going to see if I can find one more poem to read in this installment, because, yeah, it's my favorite. I think that's the one. The land, no, that's not it, but we're still going to read it, and then we'll find it. The land God forgot. The lonely sunsets flare forlorn down valleys dreadedly desolate. The lordly mountains sour in scorn, as still as death, as stern as fate. The lonely sunsets flame and die, the giant valleys gulp the night, the monster mountains scrape the sky where eager stars are diamond bright. So gaunt against the gibbous moon, piercing the silent velvet piled, a lonely wolf howls his ancient rune, the fell arch spirit of the wild. O outcast land, O leper land, let the lone wolf cry all express, the hate insensate of thy hand, thy heart abysmal loneliness. See if I can just look it up. I thought it was right around here. Oh, right there, page 57. Then there's my favorite one isn't the most famous one. I just like it. Comfort. Say, you've struck a heap of trouble, bust in business, lost your wife. No one cares a cent about you. You don't care a cent for life. Hard luck has of hope bereft you. Health is failing, wish you'd die. Why, you've still the sunshine left you, and the big blue sky. Sky so blue it makes you wonder if it's heaven shining through. Earth so smiling way out yonder, sun so bright it dazzles you. Birds a singing, flowers a flinging, all their fragrance on the breeze. Dancing shadows, green still meadows. Don't you mope, you've still got these. These and none can take them from you. These and none can weigh their worth. What, you're tired, broken, beaten? Why, you're rich, you've got the earth. Yes, if you're a tramp in tatters, while the blue sky bends above, you've got nearly all that matters. You've got God, and God is love. And I'm going to stop there. I'll read another installment sometime, get some of the more funny ones in, I guess I'll say. There's some good ones in there. All right. Hope you enjoyed it.